Melvin will give us 3 reasons why she would like to meet someone from another generation. Please welcome Lisa Melvin.
Fellow Toastmasters, has anyone ever asked if you would like to meet somebody in the past? Today, I would like to tell you about someone I would like to meet, and her name is Emily. She was my great-grandmother. Emily was born in 1887, and in 1895 she was taken into custody by the Aboriginal Protection Board in Western Australia, along with her siblings. The secretary of the board wrote a letter to a Roman Catholic bishop who ran a school mission, and I'll read a little bit of that letter. The resident magistrate of York has reported a case of 5 half-caste children in whom it would be inappropriate to send to a native mission. The mother, a widow, is a very bad example, and her eldest daughter, aged 19, is also a prostitute and has a child. As I understand, these children are Roman Catholic. Will your lordship kindly receive them into your mission school and thus save them from the bad example of their mother and sister? The names and ages of the children are James, 11, Emily, 8, Eliza, 7, Bertha, 4, and Henry, 7 months. So there are 3 reasons why I would like to meet Emily, and the first really concerns her childhood. The second concerns her young adult life and her marriage, and the third, her self-concept. Firstly, her childhood. I don't really know much about her childhood, pieced it together. From that letter that I read, it turns out Emily and her siblings didn't end up at the mission school. So I'm speculating that she actually went to an institution. There were institutions for half-caste Aboriginal girls who were trained in domestic service. So they may have received a basic education, and the Aboriginal Protection Board had the authority to take these children away from their mother. They had complete control over Emily's life until she turned 21. Now at age 21, Emily got married. And so that raised a whole lot of questions for me about how she met her husband. His name was John Anderson. He was of European descent, that means white. Aboriginals at that time, whether they were half-caste or full-blood, could not marry other half-caste Aboriginals. Or Emily could not marry a full-blood Aboriginal. It was forbidden. Basically, they were trying to breed the black out of Emily. And so she married John, and so I wondered, were they in love? Like, how did they meet? Those kind of things. I know that she had several children. I don't know how many. My paternal grandfather, Keith, was born when Emily was 35. And that would have made him quarter caste. So of mixed descent, you were full blood, half caste, quarter caste, or quadroon, or octoroon, which obviously means an 8th caste. So you were classified. And so I wondered if those children were, there was discrimination and prejudice against them. And I really wonder, I more than wonder about Emily's self-concept, growing up in that environment when mixed descent Aboriginals were considered vagrants, menaces to society, particularly if they stayed with their Aboriginal families. And I wondered about how she identified herself. Was she really comfortable, in white society? It looked to me, from the photos that I have of Emily, it's a black and white picture, so I can't really tell, of their skin colour, because as Aboriginals become half and quarter, obviously they get lighter and lighter. So I can't tell if she really blended into white society. I wonder if she even was able to vote, thinking about the elections right now. Because in the vote wasn't extended to Aboriginals until 1962. So it was arbitrarily up to the electoral officer to be able to enrol Emily, if he considered that she lived as white enough for them. And so as part of her self-concept, again, I wondered, did she have any other half-caste friends? Did she even want to marry somebody who was half-caste or full-blood? Because she probably wouldn't have been allowed to. And so these are the questions that have come up in my mind. And it ties into my self-concept, because age 19, that's when I found out I had Aboriginal blood in my veins. And I am embarrassed to say, I was ashamed to admit that to my white middle-class friends. And it wasn't until I met a man who spoke about his love for Aboriginal people, and he struck me to the core of my heart that, and I had to confess my bigotry. I would not have wanted Emily to know that about me. But Emily died when she was 71, and that was in 1956. So she lived a fairly long life. And at the time, after her death, part of, there have been some real changes in Australia, I have to say. Because after her death, the High Court of Australia overturned 200 years of white domination. So Australia was settled, for those of you who don't know, Australia was settled terra nullius. That's as if no one existed. And we know there are Indigenous peoples. So it was as if Aboriginals did not exist. Their land rights were completely taken from them. The High Court overturned that. It's called the Mabo case, if you're ever interested in looking it up. And then at the 2000 Olympics, and I think about the Olympics right now, there was an amazing opening ceremony to really honour the customs and traditions of the Aboriginal people for the first time. Very different from the 1956 Olympics of the year Emily died. And then in 2008, an amazing apology, a national apology made by the Prime Minister of Australia to the Aboriginal people for their mistreatment. That's something I would have really liked Emily to have heard. So you can see there are 3 reasons why I wanted to meet Emily, and I don't really know much about, but I do know the times in which she lived, and I've pieced it together. So from her childhood, from her young adult life, her marriage, and also her self-concept, and what today makes up my self-concept.